Open the file. The myth says you just need more willpower to keep a habit. It sounds tough, clean, and responsible. If you fail, you did not want it enough. If someone else succeeds, they must have more discipline than you. But the habit research points somewhere less dramatic and much more useful. Strong habits are not mainly run by willpower in the moment. They are run by context cues. The time, the place, the object in front of you, the action that happened right before. That is the file for week 2. Stop trying to become a more heroic person and start engineering the cue.
If I really cared, I would just do it. If I had more discipline, I would not need tricks.
That voice feels honest because it matches the inside view. When you pour coffee at 8 in the morning, it feels like you decided to make coffee. When you skip a workout, it feels like you chose the couch. So we narrate our behavior as character. I am disciplined, I am lazy, I am motivated, I am weak. But the inside view is not a measuring instrument. It often gives credit to whatever is easiest to explain after the fact. In daily life, the quiet trigger can be invisible because it is so familiar. The kitchen counter, the phone on the nightstand, the shoes by the door, the moment after brushing your teeth. A cue can run the room while your story says willpower did it.
Source file Wood and Neal, Psychological Review, 2007. Habit formation is learned through repeated responses in stable performance contexts.
Wendy Wood and David Neal published a major review paper called A New Look at Habits and the Habit Goal Interface. This was not a tiny internet tip. It was a theory-building review and psychological review, pulling together evidence about how habits interact with goals. Their model is simple enough to use. When a behavior is repeated in a stable context, the response becomes linked to the features of that context. Physical setting, time of day, preceding action, nearby objects. Once the link is strong, perceiving the context can trigger the response without a goal having to supervise every step. The cue pulls the action out of memory. That does not mean goals are fake. Goals can choose the habit you want to build. Goals can get you to redesign the room. Goals can help you rehearse the first few reps. But once a habit is strong, the goal is not always the hand on the wheel. A goal can be the architect. The cue becomes the door handle.
Second file Neal, Wood, Labreck, and Lally, Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, 2012. People often think goals trigger their habits, but strong habits were more tied to context cues associated with past performance.
That paper is especially useful because it separates what people think is triggering a habit from what actually predicts the habit. People say things like, I run because I want to be healthy. I check my phone because I want to stay connected. I snack because I want a break. Those explanations may contain some truth, but the experiments showed a sharper pattern. Strong habits were influenced by contexts tied to past performance and relatively less by current goals. In plain English, we give the medal to motivation, but the cue may have done the work.
So the kitchen at 8 a.m. made the coffee, not my discipline.
More or less, and this is good news. Willpower is uneven. It changes with sleep, stress, hunger, mood, deadlines, and whatever your day has already taken from you. A visible cue is much less romantic, but it is more dependable. It is there on the good day and the bad day. If your habit depends on willpower, you are asking your worst day to perform like your best day. If your habit depends on a stable cue, you have something outside your mood carrying part of the load. And this connects back to the Lally habit formation study from week 1. Participants were not just repeating random behaviors whenever they remembered. They chose a behavior and repeated it in a consistent context, like after breakfast. Automaticity grew through repetition tied to that context. The cue-action link is not decoration. It is the track the habit runs on. Now the honest limits. Wood and Neal 2007 is a review and model, not one clean intervention trial. Neal and colleagues 2012 give strong evidence about perceived and actual triggers, but it is still a limited set of experiments. The claim is not that goals never matter, or that you are a robot, or that every habit works the same way. The claim is narrower and more useful. For strong habits, context cues have real triggering power, and people tend to undernotice them. For new habits, that is exactly the opportunity. You build the cue before you expect autopilot. I put the one-page version of this into the free Habit Lab Starter Kit, a behavior selector, an if-then cue builder, and a cue audit worksheet. It is linked in the description. Use it before you buy anything, because the first win is seeing the cue clearly. Here is the protocol. Step 1. Map the cues already around the behavior. Write down the time, the exact place, the object nearby, the person nearby if that matters, and the action that happens immediately before. Do not write when I have free time. Free time is not a cue. Write after I put my dinner plate in the sink. Write after I close my laptop. Write after I pour coffee. Step 2. Pick the cue that is most stable. The best cue is boring. It already happens almost every day. It is specific enough to catch. It does not require you to remember a plan from scratch. After I brush my teeth beats sometime before bed. After I put the kettle on beats in the morning. After I sit on the train beats when I can. Step 3. Make the cue visible. Put the book on the pillow. Put the water glass next to the coffee maker. Put the shoes where your feet have to negotiate with them. Put the notebook open on the desk, not closed in a drawer. A cue you have to remember is still asking willpower to do the remembering. A cue in your path starts doing some of that work for you. Step 4. When the cue fires, run the smallest version, not the heroic version. The smallest version, 2 pages, 1 set, 60 seconds, 1 sentence. The goal is not to prove your intensity. The goal is to repeat the cue action link cleanly enough that the context starts to call up the behavior.
So I do not need more willpower.
You need enough willpower to set up the system. You do not want to spend the rest of the habit paying willpower rent every day. That is the corrected file. Stop trying to want it more. Find the cue that already shows up, make it visible, attach one small behavior to it, and repeat the link. If you want the cue audit worksheet, grab the free Habit Lab Starter Kit linked in the description. And if you want the full 12-week system, the book is the 12-week Habit Lab on Amazon. Close the file, engineer the cue. I will see you in week 3.